Some of the last words Carroll O'Connor heard his son Hugh utter were, "No pops, gotta go, so long." Distressed, he tried to get his son back on the line. With no response, he called the authorities, but it was already too late. Everyone knows Carroll O'Connor for his portrayal of the opinionated and obnoxious Archie Bunker from All in the Family. But what most people don't know is that the real O'Connor was nothing like the prejudiced character he played. Carroll was born in Manhattan on August 2nd, 1924. He had every intention of following in his parents' footsteps and getting a university degree. But when America entered World War II, he immediately dropped out and declared that he would fight for his country. After serving with the US Merchant Marine, he managed to get back to his education. O'Connor had a political edge, and it came out when he was editing the school newspaper at the University of Montana. When the university threatened to cancel an issue of the paper due to a political cartoon they objected to, O'Connor walked off the job in protest. He wasn't studying theatre, but he did appear in student productions. While performing in Our Town, he fell in love with Nancy Fields, and they got married in Ireland in 1951. After getting a master's degree, O'Connor began acting in theatre and soon started getting roles as a character actor. He appeared in TV shows like The Fugitive, The Outer Limits, and I Spy. In 1962, after missing out on iconic roles in Gilligan's Island and Lost in Space, O'Connor was in Italy, having taken on a small role in Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor. While there, he and his wife adopted a boy who was just 6 days old. In a touching move, they named the boy Hugh, after O'Connor's brother who died in a motorcycle accident the year before. In 1968, O'Connor got an interesting call from TV legend Norman Lear. Lear knew of a British sitcom that was begging for an American remake. The show was Till Death Us Do Part, and Lear needed O'Connor to come back to America to play the leading role. O'Connor knew all about Till Death Us Do Part. Before getting the call from Lear, he'd read about it. The show dealt with topics like racial prejudice that O'Connor was sure you couldn't touch in America. He agreed to come to New York and take the role, but he asked Lear for a return ticket. He was so sure the show would fail, he wanted to make sure he could get back to Italy, where he was living. The US version of this British TV show was to be called Justice for All, and there was a good reason that Lear needed O'Connor. The main character had some very unpopular opinions, and Lear knew that O'Connor could find the right tone to make him still lovable enough to carry the show. O'Connor appeared in ABC's pilot for Justice for All, alongside Jean Stapleton as his wife. But the actors that played his daughter and son-in-law weren't working out. In fact, they had to make a second pilot with the same script, a different title, and some new cast members. After 2 pilots, ABC was having second thoughts about a show that had such an unlikable person as a main character. Even if O'Connor could make Archie Bunker lovable, they thought it best to shelve the idea. Rival network CBS liked the concept for the show, and they decided to take it on. Now under CBS's wing, the show was retitled All in the Family, and they embarked on creating a 3rd pilot. The network decided to film the show on videotape in front of a live studio audience. This meant that O'Connor and the other actors had to get real laughs and not rely on a laugh track. Well, they did get laughs, and the show was a hit. All in the Family was tackling issues that most TV shows, let alone sitcoms, steered clear of. Besides the almost constant exploration of prejudice, the show referenced controversial topics like religion, education, women's rights, politics, and maybe most divisively, America's involvement in Vietnam.
He just couldn't come up with as many reasons for killing people as I could for not killing them.
O'Connor's lovable Archie Bunker became known for his various catchphrases that were almost all insults. He called his wife a dingbat, and his son-in-law a meathead. Because O'Connor had to be so mean, some fans couldn't separate the actor from the character.
Who am I? The dingbat.
Many viewers assumed that O'Connor had similar views to his character. The truth was actually the opposite. O'Connor and Bunker, if they had somehow had a chance to meet, would not have seen eye to eye on anything. A viewer sent O'Connor an angry letter telling him off for his prejudiced beliefs. O'Connor's son, Hugh, got to the letter before his dad saw it, and the 9-year-old was angered by it. Hugh had had enough of people thinking his dad was a bigot, so he wrote a letter back to the viewer. In the letter, he explained that his dad was playing a role, and that he actually liked people from every nation, country, state, and continent. O'Connor eventually found the letter and kept it as a souvenir in his wallet. But there were some problems on All in the Family not easily solved by a letter. As the 5th season was about to begin, O'Connor was having contractual issues with CBS. The writers got nervous and started creating a storyline that had Archie AWOL from the Bunker household. If O'Connor didn't agree to continue, CBS had a plan. They would kill off his character and have his TV best friend Stretch Cunningham move into the Bunker household. O'Connor did eventually resolve the dispute, but now he knew about the network's plan to replace him. Stretch Cunningham, played by James Cromwell, was still part of the cast, and O'Connor felt uncomfortable having his potential replacement lurking in the background. So he had CBS write Cunningham off the show.
Stretch Cunningham is dead.
O'Connor had a ruthless streak, and he was good at playing an unlikable character. This may have been why he was an inspiration for one of DC Comics' villains. In 1976, while All in the Family was at the peak of its popularity, DC introduced Rupert Thorne, and the artist used O'Connor and his trademark cigar as the basis of the character's look. But while some saw Archie Bunker as a villain, others saw him in a different way. Even though he had some repulsive ideas, audiences couldn't help but love Archie Bunker. In fact, when TV Guide asked its readers to name the best TV dads of all time, Bunker placed 24th. Which makes you wonder how bad these people's real dads were. As it turned out, O'Connor also loved the character, so when CBS cancelled All in the Family in 1979, he decided to continue on in a new series called Archie Bunker's Place, set in a bar. Mike and Gloria were now gone, but Bunker's wife remained by his side. It was hard to get Jean Stapleton to commit fully to Archie Bunker's Place. Perhaps she'd grown tired of being Archie's dingbat wife. While she appeared in some episodes, O'Connor, who was also now a producer of the show, thought her role had gone stale and decided to have her character killed off. In 1983, CBS cancelled Archie Bunker's Place. The decision was sudden and came as a shock to O'Connor. His nose was out of joint, and he refused to work for CBS ever again. Although this proved unavoidable as his next show, In the Heat of the Night, moved from NBC to CBS in 1992. For exclusive perks like early access to new videos, priority replies to your comments, and to have your say on future content, consider becoming a Factinate member. On top of that, your support helps keep the channel going. Click the link in the description for more details. In 1988, O'Connor's son Hugh was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma at the age of 16. Fortunately, chemotherapy helped Hugh recover, but the downside was that he became addicted to some of the medicine used to help with the pain. While Hugh had survived cancer, he wasn't doing well. During his recovery, he grappled with addiction problems. Amid his son's struggles, O'Connor was at least able to provide some help with his acting career. Hugh had roles in both Archie Bunker's Place and In the Heat of the Night. In 1989, O'Connor had a health scare of his own. He became ill while on set and had to be hospitalised, eventually undergoing open heart surgery. Over the course of his career, O'Connor took home a Golden Globe for All in the Family. He also received 5 Primetime Emmys, 1 for In the Heat of the Night and 4 for All in the Family. In 1990, he entered the Television Academy Hall of Fame. It was a career to be proud of, but there was tragedy waiting in the wings. In spite of his addiction problems, O'Connor's son Hugh got married and had a child of his own. But his drug issues persisted.
Well, then you ought to know. I'm trying to call the operator.
On March 28, 1995, O'Connor was on the phone with Hugh, trying to help him once again. Hugh seemed more desperate than ever. When his father insisted that he get professional help, Hugh replied that he was going to take his own life. O'Connor knew he had to get to his son, but when he offered to pick him up, Hugh uttered 6 unforgettable words. "No, Pops, gotta go. So long." Terrified that his son would follow through with his plans, O'Connor tried to get him back on the line. With no response, he called the police and had them rush to Hugh's home. Sadly, just as the officers pulled up, they heard a loud, ominous bang. It was the gunshot that ended Hugh O'Connor's life. It was a tragedy that left Carroll O'Connor dealing not only with the loss of his son, but a deep sense of guilt. He couldn't help but dwell on the final phone call he shared with his son, wondering what would have happened if they hadn't spoken.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bunker Hill.
In the wake of this unthinkable tragedy, Carroll O'Connor sprang into action. 6 months prior, his son's wife had given him the name of Hugh's drug dealer. Just hours after his son's death, O'Connor called authorities and gave them the dealer's name. He was Harry Thomas Perzigian, and O'Connor was going to make sure he got his punishment. The very next day, police brought Perzigian into the station. In the end, his punishment added up to a fine, community service, a year behind bars, and probation. It wasn't a lot, but it was something. But Perzigian wasn't about to go quietly. Now he had a score to settle with O'Connor. Putting Perzigian away wasn't enough for Carroll O'Connor. He went on TV and called him a sleazeball and a partner in murder. Perzigian ended up suing O'Connor for defamation in a civil trial, but the jury sided with O'Connor. And the grieving actor wasn't through yet. He could see how dealers in America were ruining lives, and he decided to go after them. He pushed the California government to let families of addicted people sue drug dealers to help pay for rehab and medical bills. Because of O'Connor, 17 states uphold this law today.
You owe me 10.
One thing he and his late son had in common was a love of cars. In the late 90s, he went into business and opened Carroll O'Connor's Classics. Here he proudly displayed both his own cars and ones that his son had owned. On June 21st, 2001, O'Connor died of a heart attack. When it came time to celebrate his life, the stars were ready to come out. O'Connor's funeral was a star-studded affair. Of course, the co-stars from his 3 TV shows were all there, as was his best friend, fellow TV actor Larry Hagman. Giving the eulogy was film and TV star Martin Sheen, who was then appearing in the ratings juggernaut The West Wing. Pay TV channel TV Land cleared their schedule for the week and ran a marathon of non-stop All in the Family episodes instead. There was little doubt that the world would miss Carroll O'Connor. If you enjoyed this Factinate video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible stories. If you want a say in who we cover next, join our membership program through the link in the description for exclusive perks. Your support means everything to us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.